Welcome back to Odyssey Academy for our very final lesson in the series, which is reflecting on what you have learned and done throughout your Odyssey of the Mind experience. Now, it's gotten so late here that I had to turn the lights on inside because I spent all this time creating these videos to help you grow in the Odyssey of the Mind program and hopefully help you grow as a person as well. So kind of symbolic that we're reaching our end here as the day is coming to its conclusion. So for today's agenda, what I want to do is talk to you about what World Finals is like if you are lucky enough to be able to represent your state or your country at World Finals. Number two, reflecting on your Odyssey, why we call it Odyssey of the Mind. And finally, I'm going to ask you one last question at the very end. So let's start off with, what is World Finals actually like? So if you've advanced past your regional competition, past your state or association level, and now you've had the opportunity to go to World Finals, should you go? The answer is undoubtedly yes, you must go. World Finals is unlike any other event of its kind in the entire world. If you can imagine just a global celebration of creativity, you can see here all the excitement. An arena full of like 15,000 people all celebrating you and celebrating your creativity. It's super fun. Everybody has the same supportive spirit. Everyone wears funny shirts and funny hats. There's pin trading, so you can see that on the right-hand side. Every state and country has its own pin. You get to trade with people and make new friends from all over the United States and all around the world. So World Finals is a super fun place to be. There's an international festival. Our sponsors have fun booths. There's a creativity festival where each state and country has a booth where you can play games and, hang out with your team. And it takes place at a college campus. So you get to feel what it's like to live on a college campus before you're even in college. So definitely World Finals is super fun. And the important part, I guess, the central part of OM is you get to see all these teams from around the world solving the same problem that you solved. And even though it's a competition, there's a level of appreciation and respect for knowing how much time these other teams put into creating their solution. And they provide the same amount of feedback and respect and support for you as you present your solution at World Finals. So definitely a fan of World Finals, and I hope that you go, and I hope that you come up to me and say, hey, Jim, I remember you from that video, because I would be super happy if you did. So moving on, let's talk about a couple of things just very quickly as we wrap up. We want to reflect on your Odyssey. So what exactly are we celebrating in Odyssey of the Mind? Well, quite simply, we're celebrating you, right? We're celebrating you and how much you've accomplished over this time period. And more specifically, we're celebrating your Odyssey, where you started and where you are now. So where you began and how you wound up. And I bet if you ask yourself, have you grown and changed and learned as a result of doing Odyssey of the Mind? The answer is always going to be yes. And the funny thing is, not just after 1 year, after 2 years, after 5 years, after 10 years or longer for some people, you learn more and more every single year about yourself, about creativity. You gain new skills, new talents. I have this quote over here on the side that says, success is not a journey, or success is a journey, excuse me. Success is a journey, not a destination. The doing is often more important than the outcomes. This is Arthur Ashe, the famous tennis player. So in this case, what we're saying is success is a journey unto itself. We don't stop there. It's not a destination. We don't just end. Oftentimes what we do, the journey that we take, is more important than the final destination that we get to, right? And that, friends, is why we refer to this as Odyssey of the Mind, right? We're talking about the Odyssey, the journey that you've taken this time in your mind, in your skills, in your education. That's the important part of Odyssey of the Mind. The Odyssey is what's important, right? So let's go ahead and have a look at what you've learned this whole time. So starting off the very top, you now understand what OM is. Oh, here we go back. You understand what OM is. You know what's expected of you in the program. You understand what the components of Odyssey are, the long-term, the style, and spontaneous. So now you know what a long-term problem is. You know what creativity is, how it's defined. You know brainstorming tools, creativity tools that help you become a more creative, innovative person, an innovative thinker. You know how to develop a solution for your long-term problem, right? Remember when you started with that long-term problem, it's just words on a page, and now you have all this cool stuff and these funny performances. You have your solution to the long-term problem, which is different from every other team that has also solved that problem. You know how to use the scoring and limitations, how to focus your solution, right? And we know that limitations actually help enhance our creativity, so we learned that. You know what style is, right? You know that it's the extra elements. You know how to make your unique mark on whatever problem you're solving, not just an OM, but beyond, right? Leave your unique stamp, your unique brand on whatever it is you do. You know how to write a skit. You learned 5-point scenic structure. It's in your tool belt now. You know how to build your solution, right? How to create costumes and backdrops and props and all these things that maybe you didn't know how to do before. Now you know how to do, right? So you have greater self-efficacy and self-confidence. You can get those things done, and you did it on your own, right? Mom and dad, your teachers, they didn't do it for you. You did the work. You learned those skills. If you were in problems 1, 2, and 4, now you know how to build cars and machines and structures that hold weight. It's incredible what you've managed to accomplish. If you've tweaked your solution, you know the importance of editing, to paring things down to the most important elements for the effectiveness of clear communication. You understand spontaneous, quick thinking, how to work as a team in the heat of the moment, how these things matter, why these things matter, right? Not just in OM, but beyond, because everyday life presents us with spontaneous problems that we have to solve. So the more prepared we are to do that, the better prepared we are to confront each day and whatever problems come our way. You know how to practice? We always have to practice our solutions, right? If you're an athlete, you practice. If you're an actor, you rehearse. So practicing your solution and understanding the value that practice over time gains in improving that solution. You know how to complete your required paperwork for OM? Sounds a bit like accounting, but it matters, right? And importantly, we understand that we have to communicate where we want our judges to focus their attention. This is true in life, right? When we're asking to be evaluated in our employment, sometimes we have to direct our managers as to what we want them to be scoring. So paperwork and OM teaches you life skills that you can use for the rest of your life. Finally, you learn the logistics of registering to compete and actually going to competition, what that competition experience is like, and why it's designed the way that it is, to reward creativity, to highlight creativity, and to showcase where you have room to grow, to help make improvements for you, to help you improve yourself. And then finally, understanding judge scores, right? How the long-term scores work, how the style scores work, how the spontaneous scores work. And of course, interpreting those scores. So if you're advancing in competition, where you should direct your attention to make sure you can improve that creativity, thereby improving yourself and the solution for that next level of competition. So I think we've learned quite a bit, right? So we learned a lot, and hopefully, if anything, you had some fun doing it, right? Instead of reading a bunch of manuals, you got to watch some videos. I apologize for any mistakes I've made along the way. I saw a few typos and I thought to myself, oh, Jim, come on. But I did this because I care about you and your growth and your success, and I hope that you got a lot out of this series of videos. Now, progress report, final one, last one we have to do. Couple questions for you. Question number 1, do you see all the cool things you've accomplished just by watching this video series? But more importantly, by solving an OM problem and participating in OM, it's such a fun experience. And I hope you and your team had such a great time. Maybe there were those stressful times when you couldn't agree or you were debating about what to do, but you ironed all those things out. You learned how to work stronger as a team and present a solution that I hope all of you are proud of, right? Question number 2, do you understand how you've grown on this Odyssey? Before you started in OM, before you watched this video series, you were somebody, right? You had a lot of accomplishments, you're a smart person, but now that you know all these new tools, all these new skills, and have actually implemented them in solving a problem and completing it and hopefully competing, you have grown as a person. You've done things that this person back here hadn't done before. So now that you're at this point, how can you continue to grow in your creative journey? There's still room for growth. There's always room for growth. I'm still growing. So OM gets you into that mindset that growth is good and learning is good. Lifetime of creativity is what we're going for here. So once you have these skills, you can continue making things more original and more effective in your everyday life. And again, because life is spontaneous, there's always going to be some new problem for you to solve, even as you get older. So there's never an endpoint. There's never a destination. We don't care about destinations here. We care about the odyssey that life actually is, right? Now, my final question for you is a pretty straightforward question. Are you ready to do it again next year, right? You've solved the problem, you've done it, you've competed in OM, and I bet there are things you've learned since competition that you wish you could do differently. Maybe that you made it all the way to World Finals and you think, you know what, I'm gonna try something new or different next year. Well, we'd be happy to have you back. All right, so you're gonna come back smarter, you're gonna come back stronger, and you're gonna come back more creative. That is inevitable because that's what OM teaches. And I promise you, we'll be ready and we'll see you there. Thanks for participating in the Odyssey Academy experience. I hope it's been very valuable for you, and I look forward to seeing you at an OM competition very soon.